we are live.
It turned green? Yes. All right, I push record, right?
Yes.
All right. I would like to call to order the meeting of the Perkins Public Library Trust for September 7th, 2023. Roll call, please.
All right, so we have Brian Huckabee,
Here.
Linda Barta,
Here.
and Melissa Mills.
Here.
And Valerie Hill and Charlotte Perrick are absent today.
Yeah, but we do have a quorum.
Yes, we do.
Thank you. All right, number 2, consideration and action on consent agenda, approval of minutes from the August 3rd, 2023 regular meeting, and B, approval of financial reports. A few minutes to look over those.
Does anybody know how the utilities work with OG&E? We have $360 charge. Is that surely that's not a monthly?
Oh, I believe that it, let me double check 1 second. I almost assume that's for the year, because they charge us so much just to have like the box or whatever. I'm not sure what it's called, but there's so much just to have the site, even if nothing's hooked up to it and you're not using anything.
Smart enough to know what liquidated means.
So is the liquidated column what has already been paid
I would
versus the
assume-
remaining is what's still available?
I would assume. Because like that's what's budgeted and then.
So budgeted is the total.
Yes.
Liquidated is what's been paid and remaining is what's still in the budget.
I'm not 100% certain because I didn't create it, but I'm pretty sure that's
Okay.
how it would flow. And that number kind of feels right for how many months we've had. So we had started in July, so August, September. Yeah, 'cause that's 2 months.
I have a motion to accept the minutes and the financial reports.
Second.
Approve the consent agenda. All right.
Roll call, please.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Linda?
Yes.
Brian?
Yeah.
And Melissa?
Yes. Thank you. Number 3, consideration of items removed from consent agenda. Nothing was removed. Item 4, public appearances, petitions, communications, and personal appearances. We have Mrs. Huckabee with us today. Nice to have you here. Number 5, consideration and discussion regarding update for Brian Huckabee on the progress of the new library project.
We are tentatively scheduled to do the concrete demo the last week of this month. Out on another project next week,
Early.
sooner. I'm hoping by the end of the month. So like briefly discussed, we could maybe try to get Grider
Haul it.
on standby.
All right, I need to call Chris Peterman at the bank and check with him about where they want it taken, and I'll do that.
Okay. It seemed like Grider, because I ran into Grider at the co-op down there that day looking at their demo.
Yeah.
Like he might even said they had somewhere
They took
else
some.
that they could take.
Okay,
So
very good. I will check with them if Chris is a no.
Peterman.
Okay.
So we get that done, then we currently trying to find somebody who can do the concrete demo inside for us, the saw cutting, tear that out, so we can open the edges up. That Rudy at Cimarron Mechanical has already said he would do the plumbing free.
The fixtures and such,
So,
yeah.
and we may end up having to buy some pipe, even if I gotta buy pipe, if he does
Yeah.
those labor in, that's a big savings. So concrete out of the way, we'll get that, that's the next step, tear out that concrete, get the plumbing in and the door. So I need to go measure that opening one last time. Go ahead and order a door.
For the back.
Yeah, so the CREC grant went through and we were able to get that for the door portion. We did not get it for the concrete demo, but we were able to get it for the door portion. So we went ahead, at the last meeting, when you were absent, we went ahead and approved to go ahead and do the demo. And then the CREC grant will cover the security door and the masonry for it. And I think there was was there a 90-day, Jennifer, on it as far as trying to get it completed, or was it like 120? Do you remember on that CREC?
Oh, I'd have to look.
Okay.
It's been a minute since I've looked at it.
I knew there was a stipulation on it, but I couldn't remember what it was. But it's through the city of Perkins Library, so that should come to your account that we can pay out for the door,
I
correct?
believe so.
That was
Okay.
10,000.
It was not the 10,000. It was the 5,250.
Cover
And then
the
you-
door.
And we had already gotten the quote for the door.
See, I don't think they've sent that yet, though.
Okay, gotcha.
Cause see, that's a number I have in my head. They gave a certain date, like when they were to get us that check.
Right.
So,
Okay,
and
so checking on it.
right, yeah. Because I feel like I called them and I gave them all of our information, and then I haven't heard anything. I was thinking about that today after lunch, and I was like, 'cause that's on my list tomorrow.
Okay.
Well, I'm still fuzzy on procedures on, because every now and then Bob says, we'll just send it down here and we'll get a PO. So I don't know on stuff like this door, if we have to have it on the agenda, everybody vote to order the damn door, and then I go order the door, and then we come back and approve the PO, and then come back and approve the payment. Or if I can just go order the door.
And he acted like last meeting, he said that if it was under a certain amount, we didn't need to do all those pieces.
I'll call him tomorrow and see if I can, we've already talked about it, that's what the grant's for, the money's there.
Right, it's already specified.
It's under 5,000, so I'll see if he's cool with that, I'll just get
So,
ordered, because it takes,
So I want to say, if it's under, like, if it's over 500, I can't do anything, but if it's under 5,000, I think he can.
I think if it's under 10,000, we can do it without,
Maybe that's it.
Right.
they raised it like 10, 50, 100.
Gotcha.
But again, I don't know if it has to be on the agenda, approved here. We've got to go through every one of those single steps.
so one thing we had talked, maybe this is for the next item agenda, I don't know, but is thinking about the Old Settlers Day and having certain things done by then. Is that still something we're thinking about? Like, because that's October.
Concrete.
Old Settlers Day is this month.
Or is it this month?
It's
Is it-
September
So the
22nd or 20th.
Okay, so the concrete might not be done.
So see, and I don't know.
I think we'll have that part knocked out. When is it?
It is 22nd.
This month?
It's on my calendar, but.
Yeah, it's on my calendar. Chamber page will have it.
30th.
Is it the 30th? Okay. So surely if we do it that last week, the concrete will be out. It's just whether or not we'll have the sign.
I just want to leave the pile of concrete back there for show. Push it out far enough everybody can see it. Tell Grouder not to get bigger. So I'll call Bob about getting that door ordered, and I've already talked to, I've got at least one, maybe two masons, and two EFS guys, and I'm gonna get them next 2 weeks to come meet me on site. We got details,
Getting the outside done.
because that clay tile still just poses a lot of Because a lot of times you mechanically fasten that styrofoam. It's concrete wall or wood wall, or shoot it, nail it, screw it. This stuff, if you look at it too hard, it just crumbles. So I need an expert opinion on gluing indoor mechanically fastening. And if we glue, that north wall is covered in paint. I can't really get a glue to bond to loose paint, so then we end up having to sandblast off the wall before we try to glue styrofoam on. There's a few things in there that my plan is by the time we meet again to have bids, at least 2 bids for masonry and EIFS. I already got a quote to paint that south wall. Then the building's gone. And the reason we were gonna paint the south wall is because we knew the building would come down Sunday.
Right.
And I didn't, then if you have that EIFS assembly and then you gotta patch it in, it looks like a patch to it. Now, if that building's gone, we can go ahead and do that wall complete. Painting that wall is about $6,000. Like a high dollar elastomeric paint that'll last a couple of decades. And then you gotta add a little bit of that, a little bit on top of that to fill the holes. And the EIFS, I can't tell you exactly, but would be double that. So when I get quotes on that, I'll get quotes to do the north and west wall.
And then that
And then
as
the
an
south wall
action. Yeah.
is a separate add-on item. Decide
At that point.
budget-wise. So it would be nice to put the EIFS on all 3 walls, because then you get, a solid vapor barrier, you get a little bit more R value. It's closed up, clean, pretty, matches.
Right.
Still have that hang up of picking the right color, just because there's gonna be a whole lot of it. And where did those, we had a stack of samples that Valerie brought.
Oh, I don't have the color swatches.
You don't know where they're at?
I've never got them. Last time I knew Valerie had them. I've got glass samples and I've got like the metal frame because I keep all that stuff together.
That might be down at the building. I know our brick samples down there.
Are down there.
That Agni has, so I need to call them tomorrow and check lead time and cost money on that.
Is there do we want to do any kind of a cleanup or anything inside before Old Settlers Day, or it's a construction site, it's gonna be
It's as clean as it's.
Right? I mean, there's not a lot of stuff.
a lot of stuff
away.
in there?
There's still some stuff like up against the windows. We might move some of that away. As far
There's
as,
some stuff left over from T-Mobile, and there's some stuff that we have like for storage, but we're gonna put tables or something, I'm assuming, or bring the
Right.
chairs back down, make the barricade like we did with
Right.
T-Mobile. And I might go down and like sweep it the day of, because if you do it even the day before, it's covered in the
dust
same kind of
everywhere,
dust.
yeah.
So it doesn't, it's all really the big trucks that we have drive by, it vibrates everything and just redistributes. You learn that with T-Mobile.
and then where are we on the sign for the front?
It can be ready within a time. I told the guy we'd call him to schedule the install when we get the paint. And I honestly hadn't done anything with the paint, because the color that we used on the cast stone was not a paint, it was a masonry stain, so I can't really use that on those back panels behind the signage. So it's really just take a Sherwin-Williams color deck down there and hold up
When
some
it's
cast
close.
stone, and then try 18 times until it get the right shade. And luckily, there's not a whole lot of it. So
No.
I think if we
Maybe a little-
go a little darker tone than what we think, it'll a lot of time be in the shadow behind the sign and
Right.
brick ledge. So
You just want something that's pretty durable on that,
Yeah.
something that's gonna,
and then I need to ask Bob too, because I got a painter that could come down and do that any afternoon.
oh, cool.
If we need to, again, go through the full parliamentary procedure for a $500 paint job. If I can get his blessing on that, I'll just
Do it.
pick a color and
Yeah,
So,
I think that sounds good.
and architect stuff, I told you previously, I contacted Designers Inc. in Stillwater, and they are not a licensed architect firm. So something like this is a little above and beyond them for commercial details. They do a lot of high-end residential. They do a lot of commercial in Stillwater, but it's not.
Not through the city.
Yeah, and it's still, they're still permitted projects, but lower occupancy, you know, doctors, clinics,
Yeah.
stuff like that. So they said they'd love to help, but they really can't. So, and the only other architect I find in Stillwater is a kind of conglomerate that's been bought out 2 different times and nobody answers the phone. And then I think it kind of scares, I think even the Designers Inc. that we already started with one architect, and his first question was, well, why isn't he doing it? I'm like, well, because he didn't want to sign our 3-page contract
With the city.
indemnifying against anything that may occur someday. And he's not going to sign off on the structural aspects. He hadn't been involved since day one either. So, which,
Well, and the engineer signed off on that whenever they did all that.
yeah. So, and we started with a different contract with him. When we had that $5,000 PO to him to do design, you know, code review and the exterior elevations. We signed his proposal, and then the second time, we were trying to get him to sign our contract. So then if something did happen someday, which contract prevails? The first one or the second one? Or so it got to be real muddy, and the more I think about it, I mean, we have a floor plan. We have code review done based on that floor plan. We know that floor plan meets code, meets life safety requirements. And there are some lacking details, but with the right subcontractors,
We could probably get it done.
yeah, like I said, the only thing that has me baffled a little bit is just the drive at masonry combination on the outside, and even the colors, you know, the texture of the EVIS, the color of the EVIS, and some of the details of that, that when it's all done, I can stand back and say, well, it looks good, or it doesn't. You know, that's why I was liking the idea of having an architect that could put the final touches on those things. So I think we may still have to push on Valerie a little bit, maybe,
Help with that.
so I can get some pricing that they're not gonna care what color that we do this stuff. So I can go ahead and proceed with that, bring that back, and then maybe I talk to Valerie in the meantime. We bring samples back again. Next meeting, lay stuff on the floor, look at the last renderings from the architect. And possibly some final judgment calls on final finishes for the exterior and be ready to get that going. If Steve will bring his tractor and get that
I
sign
know.
out.
It's on the list. We'll get that signed up. All right, sounds good. All right, number 6, consideration, discussion, and possible action regarding next steps of the new library renovations.
Kinda
I think
just-
you covered those.
Yeah.
Just not sure about whether or not we need to get POs or what we need to do as far as our steps for sign.
On the little stuff. I'm
Okay.
sure when we, you know, bid out masonry and all that, I'm not
Right.
gonna, I'm not gonna hire a mason for 20 grand and just start him. It's gotta be something we go through the motions on.
Right.
And I think I told you too, I sat down and went back through this and just started from scratch. You know, took off every square foot of sheetrock, every lineal foot of wall, counted doors, windows. You know, and I haven't bid that out specifically. I didn't call a framer and say how much, but based on what I know about each of those things, put together another detailed estimate, came up to about $420. So, and again, there's still savings to be had in each of those if we self-perform some of it, get some materials donated, services donated, kind of like we did on the plumbing. You know, I used to have 25,000 there, now I have 2,000 or 3,000 in there.
Right.
So we, if we do that, a couple other trades. So I think next meeting, we come down here ready to approve some stuff and spend some money. And with that, well,
So no action on it? All right.
No action.
All right, very good. Number 7, consideration and discussion on regarding fundraising ideas.
well, if it says possible action, is that where we can just throw random stuff in and say we approve ordering a door?
Oh,
It says possible action.
Oh.
that's, well,
Back to number 6.
back to number 6. So we can't do, like, approve a PO without a PO number or anything, and the PO has to be open before we can officially approve it.
But we can approve the ordering,
Of a door.
or the starting of the process to order that door as the board.
Because that's through the CRAC. That's not through trust.
Well, but it's still, an action we'll take, and it does say possible action regarding next steps. So I think that's where we say we approve
Get a painter, a
the
painter.
action of ordering the door, and then I call Bob and say we approved ordering the door. Here is a quote for the door. Can I have a PO, please?
Yeah.
And if he says,
See,
no,
I
you
don't
need
know
the
if we
PO
have
first, then we
that.
do it next month.
Add it, and I don't know, like, and I don't wanna give you the wrong information, because I haven't had this relate to a grant like that yet.
Well, I don't think it matters where the money currently sits. It's a possible action for regarding next steps of the renovation. That's all I'm getting at. If we want to.
Go ahead and have it as a preliminary for the door and the painter.
Yeah. If we just take action right there and say, we approve proceeding with that and leave it to Brian to coordinate with Bob to get POs as needed.
All right, do you form that in a motion?
Well, even with city manager's approval or something, if you wanna throw that in there,
Or
that way
is,
with it.
yeah.
And this board makes the approval. I think he assists us in PO.
Gotcha.
And if we approve it, it doesn't need to run up the ladder. It needs his help.
See, and that's where I'm just like, I don't know, because if you send me that stuff, then I could have,
Well, that's why I said I'll call Bob and
That's
shake
like
it
I
out,
just
but I
don't
think while we're all 3 sitting here, we just make it a formal.
Yeah, and if Bob says you need the PO first, then make the PO and we'll vote on it next month.
Next month.
yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We can have a
So you put
special
that-
meeting.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
put that in the form of a motion then.
Okay. I make a motion that we proceed with ordering the back door that's covered by the CREC grant, and with painting the recesses for the signage on the front wall.
All right, do I have a second?
1 second.
All right, thank you. Roll call?
Second. Okay. Brian,
Yep.
Melissa,
Yes.
and Linda.
Yes. All right, item 7, consideration and discussion regarding fundraising ideas. I have not seen any currently that's out there as far as grants right now. I know the Sarkeys opens up December 1st for a letter of inquiry. I want it done November so that we have it for sure placed in place. But letter of inquiry is in December, and then final submission is in January 1st. So if we can work a month ahead, that would be best. So for next month, I need the Sarkeys put on the agenda for next month.
This weekend,
Yeah.
we're gonna call Aunt Carol. Okay, remind me.
But for us to
It's
stay
gonna
1
be-
month ahead, we're gonna need it on October.
Yeah, that's
So
easy.
Okay.
that phone call's gonna be 2 hours out of my weekend.
Oh, sorry.
So
We appreciate it, Carol.
take one for the team here.
But I haven't seen any others that we are eligible for.
So that's the key, that we are eligible.
I know.
For the trust.
Well, and whenever it was first, we thought we could get some renovation type grants based on historical significance or whatever, but I'm just not finding them for a public entity. I can find them for private stuff.
For
but-
private, or if
Yeah.
you're. a
But not
historical
public.
building and you
So
wanna do
it's
that.
kind of keeping us limited there. get there.
Oh, yeah.
The Friends of the Library letter going out, I do hope, will help with some fundraising with that. People are seeing that things are taking shape down there a little at a time, so hopefully there'll be something moving.
When we have our combined meeting with the Friends, is that when we're going to be discussing like a big fundraising idea? Do we need to come to that meeting with ideas, or is that meeting something different than? Maybe I don't understand what that combined meeting is because I was missing.
To my knowledge, it's so that we can all get on the same page, like kind of finance-wise, like what Friends has, what the trust has, so the board can see it. So if there is any confusion on what.
Well, and then we can pull them in a
Does
little bit
what
more
role?
on what we're trying to do on our side, and maybe work a little closer, because there may be people over there that can help chase grants,
Exactly.
But if we want to add like.
share ideas.
What to call it, fundraising ideas to us, we can absolutely do that. We just can't take any action at that meeting.
Right.
But I can add that to the list.
But I would
Fundraising
definitely
ideas.
add that to the list once we were able to get together with the other two boards.
Well, but what we have done once in the past on a Saturday morning is we've got 2 people from each board.
Because that keeps you from having a quorum of that board.
As long as we don't have Charlotte.
there.
Charlotte on all 3. Yeah,
So
that's
we
true.
have to be selective in who does that, but we could come sit down here in the new building and get 2 from each board, and everybody bring your notes and compare notes and share ideas and see if we can work a little closer between groups. And, because a lot of times I think Friends is over there doing their thing, and they know they're supporting our function, but they don't always know what we're specifically trying to do or what we need help with, or maybe things we can help them with.
So I mean, something like the ball or whatever we were going to do before COVID hit.
Right.
I mean, I think something like that would be great, and it gives us an opportunity to have a platform to to say to the community, here's where we are in the process, here's what we've done,
What's next?
what's next.
Exactly.
And that way they're all on board.
Well, and I don't know
There's
if,
progress.
I don't even know if Friends is interested in doing that again. I mean, that was such a big undertaking when they started that, 3 years ago. And if that's something they want to do again, or if there's some other idea that they have, or what.
Where was that gala gonna be?
At Meditations
Meditations.
in Stillwater.
All I know is that CASA thing we went to brought a bunch of money.
Yeah.
I mean, you get, the right mix of people there, and
See, that's the tricky part, is how to get
hold
those people.
their feet to the fire. I mean, it makes you,
You don't have to have a good MC that's able to
Yeah, pull them all together.
well, we know the MC from that last one.
CASA.
They knew how to do that thing. I spent more money than I planned on.
I love that.
Did it have a silent auction or it had a live auction and a silent auction, or what all did they do?
Oh, I can't.
It was all live.
Yeah, but they had an app like on your phone, so you could sit there and see when you got outbid, and you just keep,
Keep at it.
yeah.
And this was in Tulsa, wasn't it? Was this in Tulsa? Was it? Oh, was it?
But how much was that meditation's gonna cost
I
to
was
use that
wondering.
facility?
When we were renting it, it wasn't much. They gave Allison a.
I've got the pre-COVID quote somewhere in there.
So if it's Friends, then a place like that could donate it for use and get a tax write-off.
Right.
Something. Maybe Sparrow would do that. Catch them on a dead
They
weekend.
didn't.
Lauren
cost us
Johnson's
a discount.
cousin, I think, owns that Cedar Deer Lodge.
Yeah.
I don't know where that is exactly, but
That's actually outside of Glencoe. Yeah, Tracy's family.
Yeah.
Looking Works. Yeah.
I think a gala deal's a good idea. I think a lot of people get dressed up, and if everybody there kicks in $100, it's a good evening. And if it's like Casa, you got people kicking in thousands. How much do they make that one evening?
160,000.
That one night. Yeah.
Well, the auction, Kicker donated a bunch of stuff.
Right.
Like Stillwater Building Center.
Right.
Tools, and, go around and get just a lot of stuff donated.
Donated.
You get $10,000 out of an auction from free stuff sitting on the table. Now I got stuff I don't need. So I'm all for it if we can have a little powwow with two from each board. We're not breaking any rules, and maybe we get some wheels spinning on doing something like that, which is not my cup of tea, organizing galas, but
Well, now that I'm on the CASA board, I got the inside scoop. So that was my whole reason.
so I'd say we try to set that up whenever
Okay.
you guys agree.
So do you know if there's the potential to set up a meeting of all of the boards, or do you think that it is better because of the city attorney that we do more of an informal?
I mean, you guys can do it whenever. I'm still planning on working towards doing the formal all-together thing. That way we can have everybody and.
I think it would be important to have everybody if we can. If not, I think that's a great idea to do an informal and just have two from each board. But it's, you know, I just feel bad that some are being left out.
Right, well, and officially, you know, it is
Yeah.
good to have everybody
Yeah,
on there.
yeah.
Because the other
But if
one,
you get
it's not an
connections-
unofficial meeting, it's just people meeting
Right.
up to talk about whatever.
Right.
You've got connections on plans. I mean, if you, sometime the next couple of weeks, just sit down. I mean, they can bring their ideas, we can kick stuff around, they can take it back to their board.
Right.
I mean, so it's not like intention of leaving anybody out.
Right. No.
Get that information, and then the next month, have another 6-person sit down and different people can come.
Right.
So as long as we're all sharing information, everybody's on the same page,
Sure.
keep the wheels going. So there are no current grant opportunities we're aware of.
No, that's number 8, consideration and discussion regarding grant opportunities. And all I could think of was that Sarkeys that I know is due in December and want to have ready to submit in November.
It's true.
You haven't seen any come through? Gotcha. You haven't seen any? Okay. Well, we'll keep looking. That's all I do every month. I kind of
That's-
go
it's
through and
like-
roll and try to see if anybody's posted anything else that I feel
Every
like
Friday,
we could go
always.
after.
I used to do it on Mondays, but I've noticed that stuff usually gets posted Wednesday,
Later in the
Thursday,
week.
so I always do it on
Uh-huh.
Fridays now.
All right, number 9, new business. I don't believe we have any new business at this time.
If we did,
Number 10,
we'd
I'm
be
sure.
too scared to say it.
Huh?
I said if we did, we'd be too scared to say it.
Number 10, adjourn. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Sure. I will.
Second.
All right, Brian and Melissa.
All right, so Brian,
Yep.
Melissa,
Yes.
and Linda.
Yes.
All right, then if you'll hit the record for me, I'll hit this one.
So when you say you're scrolling and looking for grant opportunities,
Yeah.
where do you go to look? I mean, how do you just Google or